Welcome to Whispers in the Shadows. I'm Christina, and today I'll be reading The Music Box. The story begins in the forgotten little town of Wickham Hollow. You won't find it on any map, and that's just the way they like it. It's the kind of place where old men sit in the same corner booth every morning. They never say much, but they hear everything. Lisa and her husband John had rented a small cottage on the edge of town. They weren't searching for anything in particular, just hoping to relax for a few days. One afternoon, as they wandered through the sleepy streets, Lisa paused in front of a shop window. Behind the glass was a painting of a grand manor. She didn't know why, but something was pulling her inside to learn more about it. The shopkeeper said to her, "That's a painting of the old Herrington Estate. It's best to stay away. Some places are better off forgotten." Then she quietly slipped into the back of the shop. Later that night, Lisa had a vivid dream. She stood in the doorway of a grand home. At the top of the staircase there was a young girl. She had pale skin, with long hair tangled up like twisted roots. Then, in a blink of an eye, she was closer, right in front of her, whispering, "Help me." Lisa jolted awake, heart pounding in her chest, but somehow she just knew the manor was calling her. The next morning they started asking questions around town. Most people just turned and walked away. A few said quiet prayers under their breath, but one old man finally spoke to them. "Used to be a fine house," he said. "Music in the parlor, laughter spilling out the windows. But then the shadows came, and nothing was ever the same." That was all he said. He wouldn't say another word, but honestly, it was enough. They knew they had to see it for themselves. The road to the house had practically vanished. The forest swallowed most of it, leaving only a narrow path winding through the trees. They drove as far as they could, then they had to park the car and continue on foot. There was a sense of stillness in the air. No birds singing, no breeze blowing, just the crunch of dead leaves beneath their feet. A low mist curled around their ankles. Lisa reached out for John's hand and held it tight. Then finally, there it was. The manor stood before them, fading and weathered. Vines clung to its walls like desperate fingers unwilling to let go. In front, a crumbling courtyard stretched far and wide, half swallowed by weeds. There were remnants of a fountain that once stood in the center. As they stepped closer, the front door opened a little, just enough to let them know they weren't alone. When they walked inside, the smell of the stale air hit them. Light filtered through the stained glass, casting soft and faded colors. Cobwebs hung from the chandelier like old lace, and most of the wallpaper had peeled away, leaving only a small piece behind the faded portraits that lined the walls. In the distance, Lisa could hear something faintly, like a child crying. So faint it didn't sound real, like the old house was playing tricks on her. "Did you hear that?" Lisa asked. John looked at her with eyes wide and nodded, and without hesitation they followed the cry. Passing through a sitting room where a piano lay broken on the floor, then into a library filled with crumbling, moldy books. The air was thick with the musty smell of damp paper. They moved down a shadowed hallway to what looked like a child's bedroom. The faded pink wallpaper still clung behind a small vanity. Lisa's eyes were drawn straight to the fireplace mantel, where a tiny leather-bound diary rested, like it had been left there, waiting just for her. The name on the front, Lydia Herrington. Lisa started reading the diary out loud. At first it was sweet, planting flowers in the garden, cooking dinner with her mother, and quiet afternoons sketching in her book. But then the tone shifted. It all changed when a music box arrived, a gift from some distant uncle. It was black and carved with roses and thorns. At first it played a soft, sweet tune, almost like a lullaby. But it didn't stop. Even when it was shut, the music kept playing. louder, darker, like it needed to be heard. That's when Lydia started writing about shadows in her room, footsteps in the hallway when no one was there. They tried to get rid of the box, but no one could ever find it. Someone had hidden it. Not that it mattered anymore. Her mother grew ill and her father vanished, swallowed by debt, or maybe something worse. Her last entry read, "The music is following me. I can't escape it. If someone finds this, I'm here. Please, help me." Lisa looked up from the diary and said, "We need to find that music box. I think it's the key to setting her free." They searched every room and found nothing. The sun was beginning to dip low, and they were about to give up when John spotted one last door. It was just off the kitchen and led to an old drawing room. The walls were scorched like the room had once been on fire. As they looked around, John felt something loose beneath his feet. He knelt down and pried up the loose board, and there it was, the music box. Dusty, delicate, but still perfect. "What should we do?" Emily asked. "I'm going to wind it," she said. And before John could say a word, she did. They held their breath, and the melody began. Soft, almost sweet, but soon it twisted, darker, off-key, wrong. The room went cold, the breath turned to mist. Outside, the sun was shining, but inside, the light started to dim. Just then, Lisa looked up and saw something in the mirror. There, above the fireplace, was a girl. It was Lydia. She wasn't scary. She didn't scream. She just stood there looking, lost. Her reflection didn't move, but she raised her hand and pointed at the music box. John looked around, found a heavy stone near the hearth to destroy it. Lisa said, "No. What if it's not her? What if it's the box playing tricks on us?" But Lydia looked straight at John and nodded with her head up and down. "I have to try," he said. He smashed it once, then again. Pieces flew everywhere, scattered across the room. Then complete silence. Not just quiet, but total stillness. The air shifted. A soft breeze moved through the room. Sunlight spilled in like a breath of fresh air. They looked at the mirror and caught a glimpse of Lydia fading away. She was finally free. John reached for Lisa's hand. They stepped outside in the sunlight. It felt warm against their face. The manor still stood behind them, battered, broken, but lighter somehow. And though the story will never be forgotten, it had finally ended.